Alright, Infernal Blessings. We are back with another video. Alright, before we begin, let me run through the announcements. So we are in the month of October. Today is October 2nd, as we're getting closer and closer now to the conference. We're 29 days out, just a little less than a month out. I encourage everybody to register, sign up. If you're going to attend either live or in person here in Fort Lauderdale, it takes place October 31st, All Hallows Eve. Great night to kick off the conference this year with a graveside ritual to open the conference, a coffee and donut meet and greet shortly afterwards at Dandy Donut. Look up Dandy Donut. Just Google Dandy Donut, South Florida. Just check out the donuts they got. It's not just a donut shop too. They also serve sandwiches, but then it's basically centered around their donuts. Coffee's off the chain. It's a really cool spot. So we'll be hitting that up right after the ritual. And then on Friday and Saturday, classes and presentations, workshops, rituals. The classes and presentations and workshops 9 to 4 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. And then Friday and Saturday night, we have a group ritual followed by a group dinner. And then on Sunday from noon to 4 p.m., I'll be doing a question and answer class to finish out the conference. All right. So that's October 31st to November 3rd right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Minutes from Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, near tons of hotels, lodges, Airbnbs, minutes from the beach, shopping, minutes from the heart of Miami if you want to go further south and explore Miami. We're 20 minutes maybe from South Beach and all the attractions in Miami, etc. So if you want to attend the conference, shoot me an email. Please specify in your email if you want to attend live and in person or you want to attend virtually. Please be clear on that, and I will send you the information on how to do either or. And the email is khnum19@gmail.com, and I'll get that information over to you as soon as I can. All right. If you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, I offer various different types of readings: Clepothic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings to see kind of what's going on right now, currently in your life, and what direction you should be going in. That's what the main purpose of a shadow reading in the moment is about. Deity readings to see what gods, goddesses, demons, and spirits walk with you to further your relationship with these spirits on the path of self-mastery. All right. Well, maybe you're just interested in a spiritual consultation, all right, which you can use. Some people just use it to pick my brain, ask me a bunch of questions about the occult, the left-hand path, or maybe they want to focus on something specific, or maybe they got something going on in their life and they want to focus on that personally. All right. Either of the aforementioned, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. And I will, please include in the email, very important, the time zone you're in and your full weekly availability, and we'll find a date and time that works for both of us, all right? Don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos Patreon page if you want to take the classes that I offer. The way to do that, go to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page located at patreon.com/Baniti, B-A-N-I-T-I, that's patreon.com/Baniti, B-A-N-I-T-I, Tier 3. Tier 3 is going to give you access to all 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, including a group ritual, okay? Including the group ritual. And it also gives you access to everything in the archive, not just from the day you join moving forward. Do you get access to the classes? You get access to everything in the archives. The classes are done via Zoom. You can attend them live, or if you can't, don't worry, everything is archived and recorded. You can attend and take them at your own convenience, all right? Now, if you want to see exactly what type of classes I'm offering, go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, B-A-N-I-T-I, and when you go to the page, hit the collections. You'll see something on the menu at somewhere on the page. You'll see something that says collections. Hit that. You'll see every class, how many classes are in each series of classes, and there's new classes being added continuously. Okay, keep that in mind. And then everything is archived and in numerical order. Okay? So I just wanted to specify that. You can check that out and sign up today. All right? Also, don't forget to check out the social media pages. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram. Primordial Chaos, 2 words, on Facebook, and primordialchaos3.com on TikTok. All right, and don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify or major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the social media pages, and the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Primordial Chaos page to sign up for classes is in the description box of this video you're watching right now. All right, you see the title, Nephthys. Nephthys, depending on how you want to pronounce it, Nephthys, right? Who is part of the dark goddess pantheon or feminine, not much talked about. Let's first establish briefly in this tutorial who she is, who she's identified in the ancient Egyptian mysteries as. Well, some know her as Aset or Isis's sister. We refer to her here on the occult or the left-hand path, the darker side of her nature, right? We also know her as the mother of Anpu and the consort or the wife of Set or Satuk, right? Some of us on the path of the occult, they would be synchronized with Lucifer, Samael and Lilith on the Klepothic tree. Nephthys is not talked about a lot. She's known. She's one of those female goddesses that's known. The name's very familiar, rings a bell, but there's not a lot really talked about in reference to her. Now, we know the role she played with Set, so she has that connection with Set. We all know the representation of Set on the occult and the left-hand path, and the importance of the mask of the adversary in that form from the ancient Egyptian mysteries. So we see the dark feminine connection with her is there because she is synonymous with darkness, necromancy. The necromancy and darkness connection comes through her son Anpu because she fathered Anpu. And Anpu, who most know in the Greek name Anubis, is the god of the underworld, the void, the abyss. We know Anpu represents guiding the individual's soul through the underworld, right? So when we connect all this aspect with Nephthys, and one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, or I chose to do this video, she will be the focus of our ritual work on Patreon on the 24th of this month. So for those who are Patreon members, you should have gotten the notification last night, and you should have seen that will be the ritual we will be doing. So why connect with Nephthys? So if she is a representation, she has that Set energy. She is connected to the divine demonic feminine. She's the darker side or the opposite to who Aset is. So when you look at just like Set and Heru, you have the two sisters. Aset or Isis would be more like that Heru or Horus type of energy, and Nephthys is more in alignment. She's the feminine aspect of that Set-like energy. And again, she is another dark feminine energy that deals with great transformation and change. And I love how this shit just synchronizes, and it's not by choice. Let me explain how this comes about. And this is really how I come up with the rituals. There's no, whether you guys understand it or not, there's really no plan into it. It comes naturally. So let me give you an example. So, as you guys know, especially if you're Patreon members, as you guys know, at end of the month, last couple days of the month, I pick one of them days to put up the classes for the following month. And then obviously this year, since the beginning of January, we've been doing a year-long or Zealy Dantor working that started in January. So I also have to get that done. This is 2 days ago. I said I got to get the Dantor working up for this month. And I can't make this shit up. And it's almost like last month with Kozar, how that all fell in alignment. It's almost like everything we're doing month to month with Dantor. If you go back and you look, going back to January, it's like every ritual connected to that work in some shape, form, or fashion. And that's not a coincidence, okay? 100%, right? So 2 days ago, I'm doing the Dantor work, and this month we're focusing on balance and harmony. How can we connect with our Zealy Dantor to work with balance and harmony? To me, they're connected, but they're not exactly the same thing. The balance part is the work that needs to be done to get the harmony, right? And that's the goal as practitioners in this path, and not just practitioners on the path, but that's the goal in life in general, to live a well-balanced and harmonized existence, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially. That's where we need balance and harmony in those 5 areas, which again, you'll see everything I teach falls under what I call the 5 points of the pentagram, and those 5 points. Balance and harmony. So I'm doing the classes, I'm getting just, and literally how I do the classes, I see which ones I got, I see how many are in, numbers are in, we've done in each one, and I kind of just try to rotate the ones that are there. And I have to make a change after this video. We have to start the new class this month, so one of those classes are going to change. So I'm looking at them, I'm doing the classes, I'm looking at dates, this, that, and the other. Then I'm sitting there. This is how I come up with the rituals, literally. So after I'm done with the classes, I'll sit there and I'll just meditate and go into silence and, say to myself, what is it we need to focus on as a group, as a spiritual family, that's going to be the most beneficial work for us this month? And then I just go into silence, close my eyes, and I always make sure I do this when it's silent so I can just tap into my thoughts, and Nephthys just pops up, right? First, I didn't even, and this usually happens most of the time, sometimes I might shuffle through a couple of different thoughts, a couple of different things will come to mind until I get that strong feeling like, okay, this is the one. Not this one though. Nephthys just came and nothing else came. Because I was in the silence, quiet, and darkness of my mind, and it only made sense that she emerged. So there was some type of frequency that I tapped into, and she showed herself crystal clear, and the intuition and the message was clear. This is what we're doing this month. All right? So that's how Nephthys came about. So now back to what does she represent and how will we work with her? Because she represents, she's the goddess of necromancy, transformation, and change. And that's what I titled the ritual at for this month. The ritual of Nephthys, the goddess of necromancy, darkness, and transformation. Why? Because if you take those 3 key things about her, okay, necromancy is working with the spirits from the realm of the eternal living. I don't like to call it the realm of the dead, right? So she connects you. She is one of those gateway deities that can connect you to the realm of the dead, or the abode, as I like to say, of the eternal living. Okay? So we will connect with her on that level, to connect with the void, the abyss, and the realms outside of 3-dimension, person, place, and thing. Darkness, because she is one of the primordial goddesses. She is one of those prime dark feminine goddesses that tap into the very essence of going back and connecting to the origin of who and what we really are. One, tapping into and assisting us in awakening and connecting even stronger with the personal daemon, the true and higher self. Right? And then obviously transformation. All of those things lead to great states of transformation. Right? But there's one thing that must be understood about Nephthys when you do work with her on the left-hand path of the occult. She requires you to sacrifice something of yourself, right? Something that you need to give up that serves you no purpose. And it needs to be something that is meaningful. It could be, you might have to offer up a certain habit. It could be an addiction. It could be a person that's toxic to your environment that you've been struggling to rid yourself of. So what makes her a little different than working with other archetypes or goddesses or female goddesses is there has to be some sacrifice of the self in working with her. And you must keep that agreement. Because what will happen is as you tap into her energy and invoke her and summons her, she's going to go to work on it one way or the other. It makes it a little more easy if it's done willingly, okay? So she is about hardcore transformation. And again, I found this just, it's not coincidental because like we say, there's no such thing as a coincidence. I sat there and reflected like this, look how this just lines up perfect with what we're doing with Wazili Dan Toro on Patreon this month. In our continued year-long working with her. All part of that pantheon of the divine, demonic, or just the divine feminine goddess energy. All aspects of it, dark, light, motherly nature, all of those energies that we tap into the divine females as is critical and is important because we need all of those elements, right? It's not just about the dark. Yep. It's not just about the light. Not every female goddess is just about, the divine mother. I know a lot of right-hand paths and right-hand path philosophies and lesser systems of religion always promote that, especially with Aset or Isis, and she has a darker side of her nature too. She was a sorceress when you read the story of Ra. I've gone over that. How she tried to get the magic word from Ra. She wanted that sacred word or name that would give her that heightened spiritual magical power, right? Nephthys is the darker feminine side of her bloodline or her genealogy. Okay? So we must understand what that feminine energy represents as a whole. Okay? We must understand that, right? We can't just pick and choose the elements that we like and the elements that we want to connect with. Okay? It has to be Go ahead. Yeah, so we can't pick and choose what it is we want. We can't pick and choose what it is we like when we work on this path. We have to embrace it all. And you need, if you really pay close attention to what I just said, all of those elements are needed to nourish our spiritual growth. Think about that for a minute. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, okay? We all as human beings need that motherly energy to guide us, right? And comfort us to a certain degree. If you're honest with yourself. And don't care, don't stop. Look, it's the biggest, toughest, roughest dudes. They're the biggest mama's boy. I consider myself a little rugged dude, but I'm a big ass mama's boy. I loved my mother to death. And plus I was the only boy in the family, right? I had 3 sisters I grew up with. So I was a mama's boy, and I'm not embarrassed to say that. I love my mother to death. My mother spoiled the shit out of me. We need that motherly energy and nature to comfort us. Let's just think about it for a minute, okay? We also need that connection to them as dark goddesses for great transformation and change. You could put Kali in that pantheon, Nephthys, Sekhmet, right? That tough motherly love. Where this is the different side of the divine feminine energy, right? It's not all that lovey-dovey, fluffy stuff, which is needed to a degree. Now you have this, and Nephthys gives that very intensely. Okay? She gives that very intensely. And through that comes tremendous growth, transformation, and change. And that's what Nephthys really represents. As a dark feminine, again, that's not talked about a lot. She's not. Let's just be real. I'm not saying you can find information on her in books. There's stuff out there, this, that, and the third, but not really on a wide scale level like more well-known female goddesses, especially in Egypt, say Aset, Sekhmet. I mean, there's a lot out there on Sekhmet, right? But I think the connection with Nephthys, and when you look, if you really pause and look, and especially if you're familiar with Egyptian Heka, right, and you study the Egyptian mysteries and you work it on the occult and the left-hand path, think about this for a minute. Gave birth to Ampu. When we look at this from an esoterical perspective, it's almost a synchronization with Tiamat, who, her womb, she represents the void and the abyss. Right? She gave birth to darkness in the form of Ampu, right? So she's the mother of darkness, if you want to really look at this from an esoterical perspective, okay? And then she was Set's consort. Those are 2 critical things, right? And Aset's sister. So let's now look at Set's consort, right? There's a connection there with Set and Nephthys when you look at the dark tree, the Klipop. And if you study the tunnels of Set, it makes even further sense. Because remember, as on the Klipothic tree, right, you have Lilith and Samael are the facilitators of the clip, right? That would be equivalent, the same thing, if you said Set and Nepthys. So there's her connection there with the void, the abyss. Not only is she connected with chaos, but she is also connected with the element that makes order out of the chaos, which is Set, right? Satuk. Not a coincidence. Okay? And then you have her connection to her sister Aset, aka Isis. Right? There's that Set Heru connection, but on the feminine side of things. She balances out or harmonizes the divine feminine energy via her connection to her sister Aset Isis. That's some beautiful shit right there. If you really understand it. And you're really able to connect with it through your meditation, your ritual work. You can do candle magic with Nephthys, and black candles are the best to use to connect with her, right? Simple meditations, candle work. You can invoke her, but again, invoke her with a purpose, people. A specific thing in mind, especially something that you really need to transform and change. That's the most important thing. Make sure that is clear when you're trying to connect with her. Okay? Her presence is very distinct, and I can tell you this from the past, and I can tell you this just from the other night connecting with her. It's a very distinctive, strong, and obvious presence when you connect with it. Okay? So, hey, what better time than now, especially if you're on Patreon, and even if you're not on Patreon. But more so, it's going to make a lot even more sense to you if you are a Patreon member. You're doing the Dantor working. You've been taking the shadow work classes, and some of the other classes that complement it too. And now we're coming down the stretch in 2024 as we approach, we're in the fall equinox now, approaching the winter equinox, the season of darkness, stasis, right? And preparing ourselves for great change, which that's what we work on, that great change in that season of stasis and darkness to emerge in what we call the spring equinox as a regenerated, transformed being, and prepare ourselves for the strong energy of spring and summer, right? What better way, right, to start kicking this off this month? And now let's approach down the stretch as we're in the last 3 months of 2024. So of the last 3 rituals we will be doing for the year, why not Nephthys, right? She has stepped forward and made herself known, and this is who we're going to focus on and work with this month, right? It was just personally for me, from a personal perspective, it was just a great revelation for me and a great feeling, because as I've said to you guys over the years, before I technically was on in a more of an occult left-hand path, spiritual path, I was always heavily into Egypt, and even when I wasn't technically occult left-hand path back in the early to mid-90s, I always gravitated towards Set. Didn't really understand it then, because in those circles, Set is always looked at as some negative deity. He's the embodiment of evil and the devil from a religious perspective. They equate him to the biblical devil, and it's so stupid because the information on Set that people just don't understand it, right? You understand it more when you're taught it correctly and you look at it from a more open mind and an occult left-hand path perspective, and not just the bullshit, just like religion does, and they spoon feed it to you the way they want to spoon feed it to you so you can perceive it the way they want you to perceive it, and not look at it for yourself and perceive it the correct way, right? Which the correct way is definitely not the way that they're showing you. There's many ways it can be perceived, but it's definitely not the way mainstream has been promoting it for many years. All right? So anyway, you do as you need, do as you be. Hopefully this short tutorial helped you. For all those who are watching, you're on Patreon. I'll remind you on Patreon, make sure you got your beads ready, because you need those beads for the final month. Your Dantor beads to finish out this working, to charge your Urzili Dantor beads, to solidify your connection with her when we're done with this working. I'll explain that more as we get closer to December. For those that have been doing that journey, October's work is up. Let's get it in. Let's finish this strong. So, infernal blessings to you guys that are doing that work. Continue that work. For those, let's start the month of October here on Patreon. For those that are on the Patreon, let's get this in. Let's get these classes in for this month, and let's get ready to do this ritual at the end of the month with Nephthys. I'm amped up about it. I get amped up about the rituals for the most part, but I feel different about this one. It's got a little different feel to it. So we'll see. We'll see how it all pops off. Other than that, hope this short tutorial helped you. Don't forget, if you need to reach out to me, contact email addresses. If you need to reach out to me for a reading, my contact email address, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos podcast, the direct link to the social media pages, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of those links are in the description box of this video you're watching right now. That's going to do it for Baniti. Looking forward to seeing some of you guys at the end of the month. Eric, what's going on, bro? Looking forward to vibing with you at the end of the month. I know you're probably watching this video. We always have a good time when you come down here and chop it up. Eric's the man. For those that come, if you haven't met Eric, Eric's one of the coolest dudes you ever meet in your life. So looking forward to E-Dub, as we like to call him, E-Dub. He's got some funny ass stories too, man. But anyway, we like to get together, kick it, have a good time, and all that good shit. Other than that, I'm out of here. Infernal blessings. Talk to you guys soon.